Welcome to My Money Mindset podcast, where we explore how a healthy mindset is the foundation for financial success. Each week, we delve into mindset hacks and practical strategies to help you enhance your income, help you make more appropriate investments for yourself, and to improve your overall financial well-being. Join us on this journey to transform your financial future by transforming your mindset. Please note that the information provided on this podcast is for general information purposes only and does not constitute as personal, financial or health advice. It has been prepared without considering your individual objectives, financial situation or life needs. Before making any financial or health decisions, you should consult with a qualified professional or financial advisor to ensure the information aligns with your specific circumstances. So let's begin and enjoy this journey as each episode teaches us on how to improve our overall mindset that overall improves our financial success. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Money Mindset. This episode's probably going to be, it's probably worth 2 episodes, so I'm going to have to split it in half, otherwise it'll be way too long. But it covers an important aspect about finding out what's more important, whether it's to make money, as in making money, or to follow your career interests and why, which assimilates with what are your true values and how can you assimilate your true values to find overall financial or well-being in health and total, contentment of your health and well-being and your finance. So in other words, how do we find contentment in our life in the purpose of why we get out of bed, actually go and make money and go to work every day and do what we do or run a business and find whether or not that business or that career that we're pursuing or that position that we're actually going is for us. It actually might be paying the bills, but is it actually sort of placing you in a worse mood, or are you one of the blessed ones that is actually doing fantastic and you love your job and it's just escalating from there? If you are, please let me know and reach out so we can share it to a lot of other people that are looking just for the contentment that you've reached. And also find out how we can propose to do this, right? And get it going for everyone. So realistically, the decision on whether or not to pursue a career primarily for money or for your career interests is probably a deep personal decision that you've got to come to sort of valid agreements with yourself, right? So what I mean by that is it's pretty much like finding a jackpot, finding a career that aligns with your passions and offers good financial rewards, right? So for instance, you have gone to school or an education or a trade, or you simply just jumped into the job force and you found that you followed your dreams and it got to where you are and it's paying just as good finance rewards as what you would anticipate, and you've also doing what you really love doing, and it also simulates with you, as in with your personality. Now, don't always think that you're doing a trade-off. So a lot of the time people think, well, I'm either going to make a lot of money and get into the investing side there and then eventually find the dream job, or I'm going to actually find the dream job and just tick along with the finance and hopefully I get somewhere in the middle somewhere and then I'm quite content. So what I wanted to do, and I've sort of done a list for myself where I broke it down as in what I normally do is pros and cons, right? And I prioritizing the money side of things just to hit it off, because that's probably what a knee-jerk reaction of people really want to find out. And financial stability and security was probably one of the highest there on my list, because a high-paying job always provides you comfortability and lifestyle, right? So for instance, most people would argue the fact that go, look, I don't care, I want to make a lot of money, I want to invest that money and make a lot more money there to provide myself with a comfortable lifestyle, access better healthcare, education, housing, that sort of thing, and potentially save for a better future with investments, retirement, can help you with, emergencies, unexpected ones for that. And that to a lot of people reduces a massive amount of stress and offers that peace of mind. So what I mean by that is that with money, A lot of people say, well, look, I can buy my problems out type of thing. That's that cliche. But saying that, it's not to say that if you follow your passion that you're not actually getting paid. So it's not so much the argument of, well, I'm not going to be making money if I follow my dreams in most instances. What I'm actually trying to do here is pressure test, is it better for people to follow their dreams, make a little bit of money or normal amount of money, or someone just to do everything he possibly can to achieve faster money and potentially not be 100% content, right? So we're trying to find that balance. The other pros with prioritizing money as over sort of passion for career would be the flexibility and opportunities outside of work. So more money can obviously give you, the financial freedom to pursue other things like hobbies, travel, investing, early retirement, that sort of stuff. So, but once again, it comes back to, are you enjoying your life today? It sort of, more money provides a cushion. Now, I keep making the assumption on these comments that your passion doesn't pay as well as other jobs. This is not always true, but what I'm actually once again trying to do is compare that people that are just willing to do anything for the money as opposed to their passion, right? This is what we're trying to find. So don't anticipate or understand that the way I'm actually comparing it assimilates that your passion doesn't make as much money. I hope it does. But what are the differences and what are the pros and cons in working out what's a better path, right? So higher paying careers are often quicker to get to where you want to be in life, right? So if you start off at the age of 20 and just start continuing to do everything you potentially can to make as much money, it'll give you the freedom down the track, but you're not living today, right? So the other thing is, what I really wanted to do is to say that depending on the cultures or how you perceive success, so how you perceive it, in many societies or cultures, you'll find that financial success is often sort of equated with overall success. They really don't. Cultures don't. Some cultures translate as in financial success as the only contentment, and that sort of boosts their self-esteem. Other cultures don't really care as in financial wealth. They consider health and family happiness and all that type of contentment as in success, right? So we've also got to find out what are those sort of influences in your culture and your society, how they translate success, or how do you translate success. And I suppose it all comes down to the individual preferences. Once again, find out exactly what your contentment is. If you turn up and are honest with yourself every day, or when you're trying to make a decision upon this, I get this with a lot of postgrads finishing uni and sort of mentoring them in the entrepreneurship side of things. It's finding out, entrepreneurship's great because it sort of gives you a very generic sort of definition on your goals, but it enables you to really forecast and intrinsically find out exactly what career, what skills you have, who are you? Like, where do you want to go with your entrepreneurship? They're the most important things. And I'm a firm believer, and many people will argue against this, but I'm a firm believer that if you love what you do, eventually you won't really care so much about the finance. The finance will just follow. It's like I always say, the wake of the ship. It follows the ship, and it doesn't matter how fast that ship is going or how big that ship is. So long as it's content and it's buoyant and it's flowing along and things are going well for you as an individual, that's all that matters. And that true contentment, often wealth will follow you. And when I interpret wealth, or the definition of wealth for me, is something like financially you're safe, you've got a house, you've got your health. Health is number one, as you all know. And that stuff, the fruits of life. So probably we'll go into the cons of when we start to look at prioritizing money. The cons for that would probably be you're miserable, right? So job dissatisfaction and unfulfillment. You don't enjoy your work every day. You might experience burnout because all you're doing is pursuing the money. You probably won't have much motivation. So a lack of motivation simply because you don't, or you dislike, or you're not happy with your job. A persistent feeling of unfulfillment. that's what you've got to really tap into. Those of you that run really deep in your souls and really want to make sure that you're living your life 100% would often find that these are really bad cons to sort of consider, and would always take the path of true contentment with other ways and following your passion, right? So always these negative things that I've just sort of broken down to, they really negatively impact your mental and physical health too eventually. I'm a firm believer we're not robots, and these sorts of things, they eventually get to you, and it can work in different ways, right? So the other thing too is that if you're following money, you're really not following a personal growth. I mean, you could be in some actual facts, but the priority of enhancing more aspects about earning more money than true earning more contentment would be that a job is just chosen solely for money, and it may not offer opportunities for your own personal growth or skill development that are really truly engaging to you, right? So you're just going for the money. Stress and pressure is probably the last thing that I would always say is mainly the one that I'd sort of make sure that you don't sort of get involved too highly. We all know what stress and pressure does to a lot of people. Some people it affects more than others. Some people have a higher stress threshold. High paying jobs, they often come with significant stress, as we all know. Longer hours, right? Intense pressure, expectations from what you've got to do, as in KPIs, that sort of stuff. And that can sort of erode the quality of life outside of work, right? So if you're always at work, you're not outside of work, they have a massive impact on people. So it sort of leads me on to why we should also consider prioritizing career interests as opposed to just money interest. And first and foremost, it probably comes down to satisfaction or fulfillment, right? So doing work that you genuinely enjoy, which literally leads to greater happiness, engagement, and a sense of purpose. That it's somehow where they correlate to. So job satisfaction for fulfillment, it always leads to a sense of purpose and fulfillment of, because you're engaging, you're actually the true you, which is most important to a lot of people, and you're more likely to feel motivated and fulfilled in that sense. Which also leads to resilience and a long-term dedication. So, I mean, passion for your job or your career can fuel resilience through challenges and setbacks, increasing your likelihood of long-term dedication to your job, and then therefore more success in the chosen field. So you're following what you're doing, you love, you're going to come across some problems, but because you're so passionate about something, like a relationship that you really cherish, you guys work it out, yeah? And it's the same with your job. It's not just, I hate this job, but I'm doing it for the money sort of thing. It's more about, I'm really passionate about that. I've come across a problem. Your resilience is right up there because you're passionate about what your self-purpose is, and it correlates with that of your career, right? So personal and professional growth is always most important as well. A career aligned with your interest, it always encourages continuous learning, skill development, personal growth, and it makes you strive to master your field, right? So everything that you're passionate about and you encounter, careers are really good at just introducing aspects of your passion or your what you're pursuing in life or your purpose in life. They introduce things that you never really thought about, and it grows your overall intrinsic sort of knowledge. It encourages more continuous learning, skill development, that sort of thing, which really leads to less stress, because you're learning, you've got purpose. There's nothing else that you should be really worried about apart from the small problems that you come across when you're actually at work or in life. And when you enjoy what you do, work-related stress can often feel really more manageable because you're actually enjoying the correlation of the problems and the pros and cons with your career. And that just leads to less burnout, right? So especially if you're just doing it for the money, you're obviously going to encounter burnout a lot faster. pursuing interests, as in once you assess who you are or you're finding out who you are, pursuing the interests often allows you to make a more positive impact in an area that you actually care about, which sort of always leads to a deeper sense of meaning in your own life, right? But it's not to say that it doesn't have problems, as in following career, like lower income potential. You know, you got to think about it. Careers driven by passion sometimes don't pay as well as other fields, which can sort of lead to financial strain and limits on your desired lifestyle. So think about that, you know, manageable in the finance sense, limited job availability. If you're hanging around waiting for that dream job, your dream job might have limited opportunities. I don't know. It's a quite generalized sort of thought, but it's something to anticipate and think about. And quite often, if it is a dream job, you're probably not the only one that's thinking that it is the dream job, and it can become very competitive to get into unless it's something that you can create in your own business. And it sort of makes it harder for you to secure that position, right? So you've also got to remember that work still feels like work, and sometimes it doesn't matter how passionate you are about something. Passion does help, but in any job, most jobs, they have the less glamorous side or the less glamorous aspects to them, right? So, and that passion may fade, or it becomes a bit of a, I need to do this. It becomes a bit of a requirement, and it can sometimes suppress that passion. So it doesn't help to think about all these pros and cons and really weigh it out and then become even more confused. But what it does do is it enables us, when we list these pros and cons for both, either, you know, chasing your passion or chasing the money, you can actually choose a combination of both, right? You can actually go in and say, look, I'm not going to sacrifice everything for my passion, because I want to live, and I want to live for today, and I want to be able to afford the better things. But I also can do certain things, and if it means that I can get a high-paying job and follow my passion on the side, on a side gig or something like that. You know, I've got many clients that do, you know, they could be musicians at night and get paid for it, and they're passionate about it, but they would never become a musician full-time. They simply think that it kills that environment. They're happy to be a musician in a band or play solo at pubs and clubs and that sort of thing and get paid well for it, or DJs that thing, and do it on the side, or salespeople only on the weekend, that sort of thing. And they're passionate about what they do. And I've got a lot of clients that do that, and they actually have full-time paying jobs. They're paying really good money. So it's not a matter of just picking one side of the fence. You know, is it money or my passion? It's being able to sort of step back, breathe, and find out exactly what you could potentially do to increase your overall income. Find that balance, yeah. I always find that finding a balance helps. Like, the ideal scenario involves finding the middle ground. So I suppose what I should be doing is sort of defining how you can do this. So I would sort of find out about yourself and define your enough. You know, what is the minimum income that you need to live comfortably to meet your financial obligations and feel secure? So if you're one of those people that really want a lot of money, just question yourself, okay, do you really need all that money? Have that balance, right? And once you know what your sort of comfortable budget is, as in living comfortably and saving a bit of behind you, once you know this, you can sort of evaluate opportunities that might not be of the absolute highest paying, but they still provide financial stability while aligning more with your interests. What I mean by that is, you know, you'll find that balance, that it's okay, it's following your passion. So you might want to get involved with being a chef, or, you know, being involved with a kitchen or a restaurant or something like that, but it's probably just for food services, or you're getting into an industry that just delivers the food, or whatever it might be, right, as an example. But that assimilates towards that. So it's more like finding that balance of making sure that you are making money, but it's in the field that you want to pursue. But it's not exactly where you are, but you will get there eventually, right? So, and that's where it sort of, I always say, explore the intersections. Are the roles or industries that you combine your interests with decent earning potential? Are they at crossroads? So, for example, someone's passionate about art might look to explore graphic design or marketing. which they can be creative, yeah, and financially quite viable. So it doesn't mean that they're actually always, if they're great at oil paintings, but it doesn't mean they're going to make a living out of it, but it's involving their artistic ability in the marketing field, that sort of thing, right? And of course, like I was saying before, side hustles or hobbies, primarily your main job could be just for financial stability, but you want to pursue your passions as hobbies or side hustles, right? It sort of gives a lot more of a fulfillment outside of your primary work, and it gives you that passion of doing what you want to do when you can. Skill development, obviously continuous developing of skills is important for your self-well-being, right? It's valuable in the job market too. So a lot of the time skills are always required to be enhanced, or knowledge, that sort of stuff. Even if your current passion doesn't directly lead to higher income, skills can open up doors to better paying opportunities later, or provide that sort of safety net for you. So make sure your skills are up there. It doesn't always have to be about what you're passionate about, but by all means, who loves typing? Some people, but not a lot, but they need to learn how to interact on a computer to actually have or maintain a modern day level of skill, right? And develop on those skills as we get updates on software, that sort of stuff, right? Also, it enables long-term planning. So we've got to think about the long-term goals here. It's not about just every day, the daily grind, that sort of thing. Think about the long term and assimilate the short term with the long term. The short term lead to the long term, and make sure that there's a true transition there. Look, that sort of concludes everything that I sort of really wanted to talk about. If you do believe that I've missed anything, please let me know. But I'd like to sort of conclude it with sort of saying that ultimately the best path is the one that aligns with your own values and brings you overall satisfaction in life. So it doesn't necessarily, by no means of definition, you've got to take all these words and sort of say, well, it's either money or passion, or can we splice it? It's about true contentment. It's got to lie in with your values, and it's got to bring you overall satisfaction in your life, because this is your one life that you've got to get right. You will make mistakes, and you will have to go to different ways of approach to get that true fulfillment, but at least whilst you're looking for it, you definitely will find some nuggets in life to be able to ultimately place with you. Consider what truly matters to you in the long-term run as well, like financial freedom is important, or is it someone that you want to work, but you just don't want to be working simply because you don't have enough money. You're actually working because it's a passion, right? And a lot of people I know, I still have clients in their 80s that are working, and they love what they do, but they're not working for the money. They're actually working because their career or what they're used to in their life has created them. It's provided themselves and their families with many things, that being also not just financial assistance, but a true contentment, family life, that sort of things, the riches and the joys of life, daily enjoyment, that sort of thing. And it's also provided personal growth and a combination of all this, right? So always make sure that you truly consider what matters to you in the long term, the short term, the medium term, and balance it out. I really hope that this episode helps. It's actually going to go, and it's a bit of a segue to my next episode, which is about finding your true values. So probably listen to that one as well. And from there, that may be able to assist even more. But thank you very much, guys, and have a lovely day. Thank you.